small breweries are becoming big business in South Florida, and some have been brought up by titans of the beer industry like Budweiser and Miller.
Yet some have stayed independent. CBS 4's Lisa Petrillo visited two top-rated local breweries to see them in action in their own way.
So this is actually the brew house. This is where all the magic really starts.
J. Wakefield Brewing is Wynwood's only 100% independently owned craft brewery and tap room, with an average of 15 different beers on tap using local fruits.
It can be a long process.
At the helm, Jonathan Wakefield, a former CPA for 15 years. His hobby was home brewing until one day he decided to trade in his accounting logs for fermentation tanks.
How cool is that, doing what you love?
Yeah, I did not love sitting behind a desk for 15 years. So for me, this is something I love to do, being able to create things for people to enjoy.
And you see the carbonation.
John and his head brewer, Maria, one of the very few female brewers around, work the line every day, producing some 4,000 barrels of beer a year. They take pleasure in making quality beers, using flavor-enhancing techniques to the beer barrels, like on this day, soaking it in fresh maple syrup.
I used to be a pastry chef, and we met through a mutual friend. And I started cleaning kegs, washing kegs, and since I have that background, it's very similar to brewing. Science, yeah. It's an exact science. So he just taught me everything he knows, and I've been here it's going to go on 5 years now.
For 5 years now, Jonathan brings his annual craft beer festival called Wakefest Invitational to Wynwood, attracting thousands for a weekend of suds and sips.
Everybody that is there is like us, independently owned, mom and pop kind of stuff, but making some of the best beer in the world.
David Rodriguez, who owns Union Beer Store and sells J. Wakefield beers, among others, says South Florida is finally catching up on the craft brewing craze.
We're catching up little by little, and a lot of good quality breweries are opening up around South Florida.
So how big of a business is it in Florida? The Brewers Association says the state has 285 craft breweries and produces 1.4 million gallons of beer a year. There are roughly 29 craft breweries in Dade and Broward County, and Florida is ranked 44th in the U.S. in craft brew production per capita, but it is growing exponentially.
Tarpon River Brewing is an 11,000 square foot tap room and restaurant inside a warehouse space originally constructed as a stables in the 1920s. It's also independently owned.
So this is the hot side of the brewing process.
Here, head brewer and co-owner Adam Fine brings his years of brewing expertise to a brew pub that serves up 16 taps on site, including their prickly pear zinger that won a gold for best sour.
We pretty much have about 4 or 5 standard core beers that are on all the time here. But then the rest is just up to our imagination. We really do a lot of different beers all the time.
Business partner Lisa Siegel, who opened up this family-friendly spot with Adam, says craft beers are just plain fun.
You get to drink that beer, you'll taste different notes of hops, ingredients, and you can have a conversation about it.
Many craft breweries have cashed in by being bought out by the beer giants such as Heineken or Anheuser-Busch. But these brewers say they choose to stay independent, pursuing their dreams in their own way.
So I'm really looking forward to just being successful in our own shoes, doing our own thing here, and just growing our business as best we can.
We've built our own brand and rep for who we are, and I think we want to maintain that. So just to go and kind of sell it out and do that it's not on the cards for us.
Cheers to beers right here from South Florida.
Cheers.
I'm Lisa Petrillo, CBS 4 News.
So
Cheers.
unfair. So